when the music stops. Right here on Radio-Radio. He made me say it twice. This is when the music stops. Stop.
Everywhere I go, I'll ever seem to hear it. No matter where I go, I'll ever seem to see it. Everywhere I go, I'll ever seem to hear it. No matter where I go, I'll ever seem to see it.
Yes. Mic check 1 2. Ken Fees, rated R in here when the music stops.
Back up in it.
Like we never left. And America, we have a problem. We have a problem, America. And I would like to start this off with a quote from Martin Luther King, and that is, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And with that being said, rest in peace to the 49 people who were killed in a nightclub called The Post down there in Florida. This nightclub was Latin night, and they had it was Gay Pride Week or whatnot, and they had a lot of LGBTQ people from that community in that club that night. So rest in peace to those people. The guy who was the killer who went in blasting with guns, AR-15s, and automatics. His name was Omar Martin, and then he wound up getting killed himself or whatever it was. And it's a couple of things I want to discuss, Fees, with this situation. One thing, the media sometimes comes out and messes everything up with how they label and how they give us information, first of all. And I wanted to look up what constitutes a terrorist attack, because when this came out, they were saying this was the biggest thing in America, biggest terrorist attack on U.S. soil and all that, and biggest mass shooting in U.S.
You got to watch these words people be using. It may fit the sentence, but they may not really mean what they're trying to say.
Right, may not mean what they're trying to say, And with this one, a terrorist attack pretty much is a planned or calculated use of violence against civilians in order to attain a political or religious goals, or just to prove an opinion or a set of beliefs that are characterized by a particular culture. And I guess in this situation, since there were members of the LGBTQ community in this club, they are saying that this guy, Omar Martin, went in and attacked the gay community. Now, from what you was telling me a moment ago, and from research that's been coming out, this guy, Omar Martin, may have been a part of that community himself, or wanted to be a part of that community.
I mean, that's
himself, possibly.
I mean, of course, you know what I'm saying. What you get from the media is to be taken with a grain of salt. But what I gathered from that is that, I mean, sounded like he wanted to be down with the community.
Yep.
And he was part-time with the community, but maybe his full-time life couldn't be in the community. So, I mean, the only thing I could gather from this, I mean, I don't know. I mean, of course, rest in peace to those that lost their lives. The only thing I can gather from this is that Omar wanted to be a part of the community, and he wasn't ready to let go of the foot that he had in the straight world, or whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? So, and it feels like, I mean, he almost got got frustrated with, people that were living their lives as they wanted to live, and he wasn't bold enough to take that step. That's one thing I could take from it.
He was upset because he couldn't live in his truths. So he like, hey, I can't live how I want to live. I'm taking y'all out of here.
I mean, that's the only thing I could really gather from that, because, I mean, from the news, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
They say, you know what I'm saying, Omar was a frequent flyer at the club. Said he'd been on other, I don't know what the correct terminology is, but he's been on other gay dating sites. He's made advances at other men, so sounds like he wanted to be a part of the community.
And then I also was seeing where he made remarks about them, like controversial remarks, like how he didn't like seeing men kissing in public, things like that. I believe that's what his wife had came out, or his widow had came out and said. So, almost seemed like he was confused. It seemed like he was maybe confused about it all, and in the end, he overall he went about it the wrong way for solving his confused feelings towards the gay community. He went about it the wrong way.
Oh yeah, definitely so. I mean, I think he was just. I mean, I can't even categorize what may have been going on in his mind. You know what I'm saying? Was he on some prescription drugs or whatever the case was? But I mean, that's one thing I can derive from that is that he wanted to be a part of a community, but wasn't ready to take his membership, and so out of frustration, he took innocent people's lives.
Hold on, Fees, you gotta back up a moment just there. Did you just say maybe on some prescription drugs? Do you think that maybe that could have been a cause of him wilding out, or
I mean,
could be a factor? You think that maybe could have played a factor in his
terrorist acts?
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? You know what I'm saying? I mean, because even with prescription drugs, even when you see those warnings, you know what I'm saying, like, may cause suicide. I mean, if taking a pill to help, you know what I'm saying, your muscle aches, just hypothetical, can ultimately bring you to the point of like, I want to kill myself, you know what I'm saying, changing your brain chemistry, then there's no telling what it could make you think is rational. You know what I'm saying?
You can't think rational. Right from wrong.
What morals that you may let go, but that may not be the case in his situation. I'm leaning more towards, he wanted to be a part of the community, didn't want to let go of his other community. He didn't want to totally move.
Right.
And he snapped.
And he snapped off. So I think everybody who has not been living under the rock has seen this situation on TV, and they understand what's been going on. So I don't want to spend too much time elaborating on why he may have done it, because it's done. What's done is done, and it's terrible what happened. And this is definitely something we have to move on from. But Fees, what I want to hit on is how we are moving on from this. I want to touch on how we have reacted to this, like based off stuff we've seen on the internet. I want to touch on the insensitiveness, if that's even a word, but just how we as people. This is one of my issues. Is I think we as people, we have become so insensitive to murder. And the reason why I bring that up, that's one problem. There's a couple of problems in this equation I'm about to spell out for you.
Okay, we'll run it down.
Yeah, man. We've become insensitive to murder, because if you notice, like, instead of us just really mourning and just saying like rest in peace to these people for what's going on, what I realized was the media came out marking this as the largest mass shooting in U.S. history. And what I noticed was there was a lot of outrage from the African American community, because they felt like by saying this, it gave more importance to this tragedy, and it gave less importance. It put less significance on previous tragedies that has gone on in our society, such as what went on in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with the Black Mark on Wall Street, or what went on with Rosewood, down in Florida, when people when towns and villages were burnt up down there, and those were definitely terrorist crimes. Those were crimes based off of one's belief. Those were crimes based off of their goal to not see African Americans strive and prosper. There we go, prosper. So
falls under that definition.
Yeah,
right?
it does. But those were not. You won't see terrorist attacks being labeled to those incidents. But one was labeled to this one because that guy, I believe he was he was committed to the Muslim religion. He was committed to the Muslim religion or whatnot, and so they labeled this as a terrorist attack. But like I said, one issue was that we became outraged, and I saw a lot of arguments, a lot of debates online about, hey, you know, if you know, they was trying to pull up different facts in the past or whatnot, and you know, to some extent, I understand why they were upset. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like, this is not the time to be arguing about, well, a bunch of us was killed too, blah, 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 blah. I didn't feel like this was the time to do that. You know, we could put what happened with us into perspective at a later date. You know, I think this was a time for us to come together with the rest of America and sympathize with what was going on. But I think there has just been so much injustice done to African Americans over the years that it's hard for us to be sensitive to others when murders happen in other races or other cultures or whatnot. Like you said, when something happened to another team, it's hard for us to really lend sympathy when there has just been no sympathy given to our team from no one over the years.
True. I mean, that's what I was going to go back and hit on. It's like, you know, when something happens to, you know, your own team, you take it to heart.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, it happened at the home floor, home court. However you want to categorize, whatever analogy you want to use. When it happens in another court, it's like, oh, something happened over there. I'm going to check into that a little later.
Yeah.
Whether later ever comes or not, you know, who knows? But
you know what, Faze? Hold on. Oh, okay, it's just like a game, and America, the government or whoever, is like the referees. You know what I'm saying? When you looking at that other team and you see something happen over there, it's like, oh, okay. And then when you see the referees go over and give like mad attention to what's going on with that other team, you like, well, hold on, man. We had the same incident happen to us. The referees ain't come over here to see what was going on with
nobody
this team.
came to see about my team.
Yeah, I didn't get no aid on this end.
Exactly.
But the referees are running to them. They giving them all the calls. They giving that team all the calls. They getting, every time something happen, you know, it's sympathy thrown from the referees to that team. What about us? And that's where the anger.
That's where the posts and things like that come from.
Exactly.
You know that's what brings up that, you know, that near to your heart. It's like, hold up, man. This ain't the biggest terrorist act. You know, there was X, Y, and Z that occurred.
Exactly. And you know, and then that's where the argument becomes between the black community and the white community, because then I got another situation that we're gonna bring about where that's happening.
Really quick before you go there.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I mean, you touched on the point of being insensitive. I think that's a word. Possibly is.
Yeah, insensitive, right.
But if it ain't, it's a word tonight.
Right, we're using that today.
So, you know, I mean, I think in today's times, I mean, even recapping back, you know, thinking about, you know, another show, we talked about OJ. Things that were going on in the 60s, you know what I'm saying, are still going on now. But now they're, you know, readily accessible. You can look at it 20 times if you want. Even if you didn't want to see it, it's right in your face.
Right in your face.
So I think, I mean, whether what team you're on, I think it's a possibility of people being desensitized. Because
there we go.
Think about it. I mean, just take a second. If you think about this, if you go, let's say, the tragedy happened in Orlando in the club Pulse. Tragedy. Heart goes out to those people because, I mean, they're in there just having a good time, just partying, enjoying themselves, and someone who was a regular came in a little irregular that night and did something that was crazy. Took, I think it was 49 or more lives.
He took their life, but then shot like what, 50 other people.
Yeah, other people was injured. Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying, this was, you know, tons of people. So, definitely, you know what I'm saying, heart goes out to them.
Yeah.
But then you have, you know, a day or so later, there's another tragedy.
Speak on it.
I mean, the family's child is, you know, also in Florida, also in Orlando. The family's child is pulled off. The family's child, 2-year-old boy, is pulled into the water by an alligator. So, I mean, before we get into that, I mean, just to wrap, just kind of tie my point in together. It's like, before you can really, you know, sink your teeth in and give your heart to what happened to the family. I mean, not the family, but to the people in the Pulse nightclub. There's another tragedy. 12 hours later. Mm-hmm. And when you get ready to give your heart and focus to that, there's another tragedy 6 hours later than that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Maybe in the same place, maybe in a different part of the world, but there's always something going on. It's so much going on. It's like if I go giving my heart and my emotions to everything, before you know it, I'm on some prescription drugs and I'm depressed because of everything going on in the world. Mm-hmm. So what do? Do you lock yourself off? You be like, hey, my heart goes out to them. Moment of silence. R.I.P. I hope their families are able to get over this, but I can't digest everything that's going on. Mm-hmm. I can't take that in internally. It's like, hey, I mean, some may say that I'm desensitized, or that person is desensitized for feeling that way, but at the same time, it's like you can't digest everything. Yeah, some stuff you got to just chew a little bit and be like, all right, there's some new food coming. Mm-hmm. I can't digest that.
Yeah, you know what, dog. Yeah, that great points, great points. But I just think at the same time, you also have to be a bigger person and not jump to the those 49 people got killed in Orlando, but what about the people in Chicago? But what about there's not the time to do that at that time. And that's what I was seeing a lot of. But what about? And I totally understand. It's like we feel that there's just been so much injustice to us and so much insensitive, so much desensitized feelings towards us. We like, well, I'm sorry about what happened over there, but I got this to worry about over here. You know what I'm saying? And I just think at certain moments we really shouldn't do that. Although I understand where they're coming from. Again, it's just not the time to go tit for tat.
Yeah. I definitely agree with you. I mean, I agree that what's being reported is not accurate, but at the same time, it's like you really don't bang up your cause against the current cause. It's like, it ain't the time to go tit for tat. Lives are lost all across the board.
All across the board. So, hey, y'all, right now there's a problem going on in Florida, and me and Fee's going to hit on just a little bit more of that because there are some other things that's been going on. We're going to hit on that and much more right here on Rated-R Radio.
Are you getting married soon and looking for a quality DJ? Or maybe you're hosting your family reunion this year, and you need a DJ that knows how to go back and forth between the old school and the new school. Well, look no further. I'm your man, DJ Rated R. For all bookings, inquiries, or questions, please email me at ratedrradio219@gmail.com. Again, that's ratedrradio219@gmail.com. Let Rated R Radio come through and host live at your event. Guaranteed to turn up and have the people talking for days and days.
Yes, and we're back right here on Rated R Radio when the music stops. And right now we are stopping down in Orlando, Florida, because there's something evil festering up in Orlando, Florida, my man. There's something going on, and I want to speak to this 2-year-old getting snatched up by a gator. And I may sound like a hypocrite in this section right here. Excuse me, everybody. I know
a disclaimer.
Yeah, I know. Last hour we was talking about. I was talking about you can't say, well, what about this or what about that. But this situation, I'm complaining to the refs. I'm not complaining to the people who were. I'm not complaining to the other team. My argument is not going to the other team. I'm complaining to the refs in this situation. And what happened in Florida, my man, was the again, 2-year-old. And I looked this situation up. He was wading in the water. The little boy was in the water. He was walking in the water. Witnesses say that the water, it was very muddy. It was a swampy area. As I looked online, there were signs saying gators occupy or wildlife occupies this. And
Oh.
unfortunately, there were no fences up. I think there should have been fences around the area, but there were signs up, and it also said no swimming. No swimming to me means don't get your butt in the water. Don't get in the water. You know what I'm saying?
It don't mean chill in the water,
Yeah.
but don't swim.
Just don't swim. Don't do nothing. Don't go near the water at all. Don't walk in it. Nothing at all. So the little boy was unfortunately wading in the water. He was walking in the shallow end, not deep, but in the shallow end, and the gator saw food. He saw food. He saw feet, and he said, this not supposed to be here, so I think I'm gonna take him with me. And the gator pulled the little boy under. You know, unfortunately he drowned. You know, he was not eaten. I when I first heard it, I thought he was eaten by the gator. But
Yeah, the way they was said they was cracking them gators open. I think they
Yeah.
cracked about 4 of them open. I mean, they probably thought he was eaten as well. They
yeah,
looking for
him.
remains.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that killing of the gators in just a moment. But yeah, he but the father, this was sad, bro. The father tried to jump in and pry the gator's mouth open, but couldn't. And he lost his 2-year-old boy, which is tragic, man. My heart goes out to anybody losing a baby, infant baby, 2-1, no matter the age, a son. Period. He lost his son. This was terrible. It was
That
really
is
hard for
terrible.
me to read. It was hard for
That's
me to
hard.
read.
I imagine that's hard to live with.
And hard to live with. Like you said, how can you go home after you lose a fight?
It's hard to live with if you wasn't there for the fight. Less known being the last opportunity for life of his young son.
Terrible, man. Terrible. But he tried, and the gator got away with his boy. I can't imagine how that man feels right now. But again, there was outrage over the internet with this situation, and like you said, 4 alligators were killed in the process.
Murked.
Looking for the little boy, they wound up finding the little boy's body had came to us. He was found around 1:00 the next day. And I didn't see any Gator Lives Matter posts. I didn't see any smart mouth posts like that. And not saying I was looking to see that, but I was just saying I didn't see anything like that from the other team. And the reason being is because when that whole Harambe situation had jumped off, you know, it was I call it fake outrage. It was a bunch of fake outrage from the other team.
Digging into the family that was a part of the tragedy lives.
For no reason. Looked up information.
Even the father, who was not even there. He wasn't even at the field trip. They done dug into this man's criminal background.
And he wasn't even there.
Record probably was supposed to be closed and expunged and everything else, but somebody found it.
It was just sad how they put that family of the Harambe situation on blast. They put them on blast, and again that they were African Americans who had gotten a situation at a zoo, and I think they were treated unfairly by the other team. So in this situation, when this Gator thing went on down in Florida, our team went petty LaBelle status. They went petty, and they were saying, you know, oh, will that father be investigated now? Will that mother? Are we gonna pry into that mother's? Because where was the father at when the baby was in the water? You know, are they going to be brought up on child neglect charges and things like that? And I wouldn't have ever said it, but I was thinking that though. I'm not gonna lie. I was thinking like, is there going to be this fake outrage against that family for what went on? And no, it's not.
You know, going back to some of the previous episodes where, you know what I'm saying, I stressed timing. It's timing. You know what I'm saying? Timing for everything. Now, if this had been laid to rest, so to say, you know, the people had been given some time to, you know, digest the situation, and then someone brought up this topic of, all right, will the family's background be dived into and things of that nature? Because, of course, we have one family who did not lose a child, but came very close to it, possibly. Who knows what was on Harambe's mind, or Harambe's family members? You know, who knows else was in the zoo,
Right.
But in this family, they lost a child. So, whereas the memes and the jokes and things like that may have been acceptable in one case because the little boy came home. You know, other people felt like, hey man, it's not the time for those memes and those jokes. You know, when this child lost his life.
Yeah, he lost his life. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, this situation was a little different.
It was a little time.
It's a little different from that. That's why I didn't agree with the questioning on the
It was different but similar, you know, because like you say, Harambe was put to rest. Those 4 gators, I mean, could have been more. I ain't kept up with it. Could have been more, but those 4 gators were put to rest too. I think the explanation was like,
put to rest.
We're trying to figure out and check teeth marks, see who drug the child.
Oh, so it was multiple gators in the water, and they didn't know which one had did it. So they say, "Hey, I'm taking all of y'all out."
See a gator, catch a gator, kill a gator. You know, and I'm not gonna act like I feel like the gator life matter more than the child's life.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm
Not
just
at
saying
all.
like some
Not
gators
at all.
was killed, you know. But you know what? You know that's one thing that went there really quick. But another thing I would like to just kind of step back and think about is that father. You know what I'm saying? Because they say, I mean, according to the media, you know what I'm saying, you can take that with a grain of salt. He fought with the gator, and I don't know if he lost track of the gator during the fight. You know what I'm saying? The gator got away. I'm not sure what occurred, but I guess at the point when the baby was snatched by the gator, somewhere before the gator got away, the father came in contact with that gator who had his son.
Right.
And the father lost that fight. Lost that fight is in not the father had passed, but the father did not succeed in getting the child back from the gator.
Even his kid, no.
And I mean, my question would be, can you really come home after that?
Oh.
I mean, not like, oh, I can't go back to my family after that.
Right.
That's one aspect, but mentally, like, you were the last person, you were the last line of defense for your child, to see that next birthday, to see that next day, to take that next breath. And you failed. So mentally, I know he's tore up.
Yeah.
He's got to be tore up.
Yeah.
You can't sleep at night, I imagine.
Yeah.
And like, oh, if I had done X, Y, and Z differently, you know what I'm saying? My little mans would be here.
Yep. If they would have just had their baby in the playpen, because they say they had another child out there as well that was inside of a playpen that was nearby as well. If that baby would have just been in that playpen with that other child, none of this would have occurred.
Yeah.
None of it.
2 steps. If the decisions I made prior to the gator arriving up would have been differently, and as well as had my fight gone a little differently.
The fight.
Yeah,
man, you can't pry no gator mouth open with your hands, man. You need something sharp to be beating. I
mean, I feel like at the point, I mean, you got to grab that gator up and bring him on land.
Right.
You got to bring you to my
I need some
hometown.
help. I don't need y'all watching me. I need y'all helping me in this water. We all need to be in here trying to pull this gator by the tail with something.
We gonna bring this gator on land. He gonna bring him on our home turf. Back to the teams. He gonna bring him on our home turf, and we're gonna take care of him. Cause little mans can't go like that. Or I got to go trying to get little mans.
I gotta go. I gotta die with him. I can't gotta live, or I gotta die fighting.
For him to live. I can't come home like that. I mean, because that mental is probably tearing him up.
Yeah, man, that is terrible. That is terrible. And
because I mean, before I cut you off,
no.
They've lost not only the child, they lost that father too. I can't imagine him being the same person after this event.
Yeah, he's going to be mentally corrupted, bro. After this situation, like you said, like it's almost like with a child, like as a shorty, you don't want to go home after losing the fight, it's like, no, you better get back out there and handle that.
Hey, don't come back until you win. You know how like your mama used to tell you, hey, don't come back until you win that fight. Like, I got to take care of this business. Go out here in these streets.
Man, it's just been a lot of crazy stuff going on down there, and I don't want to make this just a tragic sounding podcast tonight, but it's just what it is. Again, I started this off saying this is a tragedy in Florida, America. We have a problem, and I don't know. It's something going on down there, bro. It's something going on down in Florida. If you spell live backwards, it spells evil, and I think it's just been a lot of things going on backwards down south and really all around, and it's just with that being said, it's just an evil spirit going around, man. I mean, from the girl getting killed who was on The Voice, where I mean a dude drove miles to come and kill her at a book signing, man.
Crazy.
He was a follower on Twitter or whatever it may be, a book signing, and he killed her in front of all them people, her brother. Rest in peace to her, man. Rest in peace. And it's just crazy. And it made me think about something. One thing about that thing that happened on the club, it was 300 people in that club. They failed to mention that only 49 were killed out of 300 people, though. So think about all the folks that did survive, that incident. If you do kind of want to look at it,
focusing on the positive.
If you want to look at the positive, it was a lot of survivors. So shout out to the survivors down there, and
I mean, because 300 something in the club. You got, like I say, 300 something in the club. Unfortunately, 49 or more lost their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I think it was another 50 or so was injured. I mean, who knows what those injuries were, what they were caused from, but so essentially a third of the club was had a tragic incident.
Right. But a lot of people did survive that incident down there. So, looking at on the bright side, but like I said, not to get spiritual on nobody or nothing like that, but it's just odd how this stuff is occurring like back to back. And I don't even think not even just the Trayvon Martin. I mean, the other injustices all around the world that's been going on, from the Tamir Rice to the Eric Gardner and things like that. Everything that's been going on is just terrible. And again, y'all, we just can't be. I don't want to be insensitive to these things, but man, something got to give, my man. Something got to give, and that's my take. That's my take on what's been going on down there in Florida. We're gonna take a quick commercial break. And we'll be right back.
After these messages.
We'll be right back. Right here on Rated R Radio.
Welcome to the Radar Experience.
Yes. Welcome back to Rated R Radio. I'm your host with the most, DJ Rated R, sitting in with my man Ken Fees.
We still in this.
Yes, we still in this, and we taking this all night long, man. And this next segment right here, we are discussing opinions. Opinions. To me, my definition, I didn't look this up on what an opinion is, dog, but to me, man, an opinion is what you believe, is what you feel, is how you feel, and is what you want to say towards a certain subject, a certain what you feel about certain belief, ideology, what you feel about whatever it may be. It's how you feel. We are all born as individuals. We are all born with our own minds, bro. We are all born with the ability to make our own decisions and to have our own opinion. So, I'm going to ask you this question.
Why shouldn't you have an opinion?
Why should and why should you be condemned for having an opinion? Why should you be fired for having an opinion? Why should you be bashed? Why should you be labeled for having an opinion? So I want to ask this question. Brother. Rest in peace to Muhammad Ali. Rest in peace to Muhammad Ali. He passed away a couple of weeks ago. And during his death, there was a lot of, I heard a lot of commentators on ESPN and in various places just flat out calling him the greatest. And a lot of these commentators who was calling him the greatest were white commentators, calling him he was the greatest. They were saying he was the greatest. Period. So I scratched my head and I asked this question: if you dropped the 1964, 63, the early on Muhammad Ali in 2016, would he still be considered the greatest? Would he still be considered, would he still be loved by people? Because if you think about back in the day, in 1964, back in the day, he wasn't no greatest. As a matter of fact, ain't that kind of funny how him and O.J. Simpson kind of traded places? Some O.J. Simpson, who didn't have an opinion, was beloved by everyone, especially white America, or as we call it, the other team. He was loved by the other team, and Muhammad Ali wasn't. Muhammad Ali had
opinion.
He had an opinion. Muhammad Ali said, "I'm not going to no war. Ain't no Vietcong ever did nothing to no nigga." In his words, he said, "I'm not going to
call him nigga.
That's not my war." He had an opinion back in the day, and they hated him for their opinion. They were ready to put him in jail for that opinion. They took his belt away for him having an opinion. They took money away from this man for having an opinion.
Food out his children's mouth.
For having an opinion. An opinion on how he felt he should have lived his life, on how he felt people should leave him alone. He had an opinion on how black people should be treated. All of them did. All of them did back in the day. So I think it's kind of funny when you look at that O.J. Simpson, when you look at O.J. and Muhammad Ali, how they have totally switched places. Because, again, O.J. Simpson didn't have no opinion back in the day. He shied away from having any opinion.
He was above it.
And now he's the most hated person by white America. And then you got Muhammad Ali, who is one of the most beloved people by white America. And he's gone. I think that's kind of that's funny how those tables turn in that situation. I just wanted to bring that up because we are talking about opinions, and why can't you have an opinion nowadays without being labeled a hater of a certain thing that you have that opinion about?
Well, I mean, of course, if your opinion doesn't align with the people who have, who've created the thing that you have the opinion on, whether it's a thought or something physical, if your opinion opposes their very well being, then you're considered a hater. Versus you can't say like, hey, so and so doesn't feel the same way I feel, maybe we should have a conversation to understand each other. Or it's just like, it's just purely like, oh no, so-and-so a hater. I don't care what they got to say. They don't agree with what I got to say. They don't agree with what I'm doing. They're a hater.
That's why at times I hate the word hater. I think hater has been is next to swag one of the most overused terms in the American literature. Hater, because not everything is viewed. Not everything is hating.
Everything can't be hating.
It's not.
I mean, at what point do you just say, like, you know what? We agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree.
Or, oh, you got some valid points. I see why you feel that way. I'm starting to understand your point of opinion. It's just like, no, you're a hater. That's it. Point blank, period. You hating on me.
So, Fees, in this day and age, my question to you, brother, can we have an opinion?
Yeah.
Are opinions allowed? Especially in corporate America, or on TV, or in sports, or in music. Can you have an opinion without being labeled a hater, or without getting fired from your job, or without getting attacked by Twitter, or without getting whatever bashed and demeaned and everything?
You can always
by the masses.
You can always have an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
At any point in time of your life, career, or whatever, you can always have an opinion. But no, that opinion, just like any other action, or just like any other action, it brings consequences. So, if you're fearful of the consequences, then your opinion may either change or it may be quieted. Or if you're not feel fearful of the consequences, then you'll say your opinion at that point in time and let the chips fall where they may. But yeah, everyone can have an opinion, and you should have an opinion. Now, whether you feel comfortable voicing that opinion or not, that's two different ball games right there. But you should have an opinion. I mean, sometimes you don't voice your opinion because you can't handle the truth. It's like, you're not ready for the truth.
You're not ready.
You can't handle the truth.
And,
or there's nothing you can do about the truth. So why should you be provided with the truth?
And that's what was dope about Muhammad Ali back in the day, in a time where, he could have been strung up from a tree for having an opinion and for telling the truth and for standing on his truth.
On his principles.
Yeah, standing on that. He still said what he wanted to say and felt how he wanted to feel regardless. And he had things taken away from him. He was stripped of money, titles, all that good stuff. But he still stood his ground. He didn't back down from his opinion and how he felt, and he stood on that. Now, I looked up the definition of a hater. A hater is a person who greatly dislikes a specified person or thing. Having an opinion doesn't necessarily having an opinion against something doesn't necessarily express dislike
of the person
or the thing. It may just be expressing a dislike for the action of that person or the characteristics or whatnot of that. And I say that because as we move on in this, Kurt Schilling, he's a baseball player, and he was a ESPN analyst. He was fired for ESPN for making a comment on transgender bathrooms. And I don't know, maybe the comment that he made was in poor taste, because he had he showed a meme with a man dressed in drag. And,
okay.
And what happened was the man was dressed in drag, and he said, would you want something like this coming out of the bathroom or going into the bathroom with your daughter? And this argument is based off of transgender bathrooms or whatnot. And he was saying, would you want someone who's transgender or who's dressed in drag or whatnot? Would you want them coming in and coming out of the bathroom, with your daughter? And he was fired. He was fired for having that comment. He was fired for making that comment, having that opinion.
Fired. Don't pass go, huh?
No pass go. They sent him home. Expired.
Well, I mean, that's one of the consequences when you work for an overarching business or conglomerate, whatever have you. If your opinions don't agree with the overarching views, thought process, that's one of the consequences. I mean, not to say that he knew it was the consequence, not to say that the consequence is correct, but they probably felt like, hey, when you represent us, aka giving your life away, but you represent us now, you don't represent you.
You need to be in line.
You need to be aligned with our decisions and thoughts, But, I mean, that's unfortunate.
You need to be in line.
That he had to be in line and he couldn't provide his own thoughts and opinions without, interfering with his professional career.
When Stephen A. made that opinion about the Ray Rice incident, they made him get in line.
He probably had a choice too.
They made him get in line.
He said he probably had a choice to either get in line or be dismissed, and he chose to apologize for his opinions on that particular instance.
So that's funny, bro. That's my argument, Fees. That's funny. So again, they hail Muhammad Ali as a martyr, as the greatest, for standing on his opinion against certain things and not getting in line. They praise him for not getting in line, yet in this day and time, they will spank you, they will strip you of your money, they will fire you from your job for not getting in line.
Well, I mean, that may be two different things, though.
Okay.
Muhammad Ali's home team probably more so praises him for, not getting in line, speaking his mind, stating his opinion, knowing the position he held at the point in time where he stated his opinion, stood for something. Whereas the opposing team probably holds him as the GOAT or the greatest of all time for his works that he did in the ring, in his profession. So there's two different teams holding him as the GOAT, the greatest of all times, for two totally different reasons, for two separate parts of his life. I mean, that's another subject in its own, you know what I'm saying? That's something, many people who, work the 9 to 5 live a double life.
Yeah.
9 to 5, you are...
That's a good point.
A, B, and C.
Yep.
And from 6 to 12, you are X, Y, and Z.
X, Y, and Z. Yes. Yes. That's why, man, with us, talking about and speaking on opinions, man, that just watching that old O.J. Simpson documentary, it just, I don't know, watching how they were back in the day, it made me personally feel empowered. The fact that they stood on their opinions regardless of getting killed, regardless of losing their money, whatever. I think nowadays, bro, we are so controlled by money. And I'm going to get into music with this in a minute, because this is when the music stops. And that opinion thing also goes off in the music. It's not just in, social or liberal or, those areas. It's also in music. But what I dug about back in the day, they boycotted the 1968 Olympics. It was a couple. I cannot think of the guy's name. I'm gonna look that up. But he boycotted. There were some black guys who boycotted the 1968 Olympics because they were not down with what went on with just black injustice. You know what I'm saying? And they had an opinion towards how we should be treated. And they stood on that opinion. They stood on that stance. They stood on that belief of how we should be treated. And because we were not treated fairly, they said, man, I'm not participating in your Olympic Games. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going out there and doing it. And Martin Luther King was behind it. When I saw that part in the documentary, that made me feel good. Like, wow, this black leader, somebody who we hailed as one of the greatest leaders of our black history, black American culture, Martin Luther King, he was totally behind that, and he spoke out on that as well, that he was down with them for not going to the Olympic Games that year. And I don't know, man, what resonated with me on that is, okay, we are in Indianapolis, we in Nap, right?
Right.
I'm saying this because I want to kind of bring it to modern day, and I want to bring it to today's time, and I want to bring it over to the musical side.
Okay.
And all right, we stay in Nap, and one of the parts of Indianapolis that I'm not privy to, I'm not really comfortable with going to, is Broad Ripple. I have not had. I've had some bad. I've not had some bad experiences with Broad Ripple here in Indianapolis, and then I've seen some things that go on the news in Broad Ripple where there's been some shootings, there's been some incidents that has gone on out there in Broad Ripple, and the response to those incidents has been, keep them niggas from out of here. Period. Keep them niggas from out of here. And you know how they do that? They enforce dress codes. They enforce certain dress codes towards us. Take that hat off. Your pants too baggy. I've been turned around because my pants appear to be too baggy. When I wear a 32. You know what I'm saying?
What is too baggy?
Well, yeah, too baggy. Your shirt is too long. I've been discriminated against in certain clubs out in Broad Ripple to where I can't get in. However, you got a lot of these big main acts that come to Indianapolis, and they go and perform. Black. Nelly,
yeah.
Naughty by Nash. A lot of
Get your
black
Vogue
artists,
action on.
and they go to Vogue, and that's where I'm talking about. Where I've been discriminated at was the Vogue out in Broad Ripple, and you have a lot of black artists that come to Indianapolis, and they go to the Vogue the spot where we've been discriminated against to perform, and that's just always bothered me. And again, that the situation with the Olympics in 1968, like I said, the reason that resonated with me, they boycotted against going there, is the same way I felt like a lot of black artists need to boycott against going to Broad Ripple because of how African Americans have been treated out in that area or whatnot. And
yeah, man. I mean, it's two sides of that. I mean, because we live here and you've experienced it. We've experienced it.
They haven't.
They haven't. They don't know. I mean, the check come in. They say, "Oh, come to 11637 East College Avenue, and that's where the party's going to be. That's where we want you to perform." And all right, check clear.
That money,
I'm coming.
Money, bro. That's.
I mean, because it's twofold. It's like you can't check out every experience from a performance standpoint. You can't check out every what's going on there. What type of town? What's the side of town it is? You know what I'm saying? When you performing 4 places per week, you just like, all right, check clear. I'm going. You might hear about it after the fact, or you might hear about it on your way. You know what I'm saying? Social media will let you know, like, oh no, this ain't the place to go. Nobody gonna be there, bro. We don't rock with that spot like that. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the case is.
Well, I think somebody needs to let these artists know, man. Y'all need to stop going to Broad Ripple.
Like Broad Ripple, that ain't your place, right there.
No, I know. I'm not even trying to hate or nothing like that, man. It's just not my place. And ever since I've been discriminated against there,
I ain't talking about you. I'm talking about the what's that? The artist.
Mm-hmm. I know. Again, I for a minute I thought I was getting off subject, but I'm not. I'm not, because again, this is my opinion on Broad Ripple, dang on it. But again, those two things those two situations kind of correlate again with how
show opinion, man. We talking about opinion right now.
Talking about opinions, dang on it. And like I said, just to bring me over to the music side, even with having an opinion on who's whack and not, it's like if I say so and so is whack, if I say so and so is whack, I can't have an opinion on artists nowadays without being viewed as a hater of that person. Or even in the rap game, if you notice, like a lot of artists don't give their opinions on what they may think about another artist because they're scared of being maybe blackballed by the industry or blackballed by whatever, and they're scared to give their true opinion on what. And I think that's where music is being ruined at.
Or they label mates at like they sign the same deal to the same place that I signed. I don't want to squat on them. But you know what?
Man, back in the day, that didn't matter, bro. I mean, that's why all them rap battles, man. KRS-One, them used to go at other cats from. I mean, you had the Boogie Down Bronx and all kind of New York dudes used to battle and go at each other. You know what I'm saying? Because they had certain opinions against each other. You had Kool Moe Dee, Wild Wild West, and LL Cool J going at each other. At that time, people loved Kool Moe Dee. People loved LL Cool J. They didn't like each other. They called each other whack, and they went at it. Nowadays, you don't have that no more. You got people. It's almost like you got folks scared to give their opinion because they don't want to lose the certain fan base.
They want to lose that money.
Yeah, they don't want to lose that money. They don't. To me, ladies and gentlemen, the lack of having an opinion in this society, or the lack of not expressing your opinion in certain things in society, is what's leading to a lot of the BS that's allowed to just go on and continue to go on, and nobody's saying nothing about it because they scared to give their opinion on it.
Scared to give that opinion because it's gonna affect the bottom line. They're like, nah, my opinion doesn't matter, so I'm not gonna say anything about it.
Look at Meek Mills. Now,
prime example.
Prime example. And again, man, I know we always talk about Meek on this, but he is a great example of somebody who stood on his opinion. He stood on his opinion, and he was chopped down for having his opinion against you.
He appeared to catch hell behind having his opinion. It was like, man, you might as well kept that opinion to your damn self. Like, should that opinion cost you, man? Mm-hmm. You got your opinion. You lost some motherfucking rap beef. Your ass went back to court, caught a I don't know if it was probation, parole violation. I don't know what it is. I don't know these terms and that terminology or whatever.
I mean, he got in all.
He got on house arrest, fucking around. His shit was just like, it reminded me of that song. I don't know who sung it, but watching my life go down.
Christian, they was with Rockefeller.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, it was just like shit.
I mean, it went down after he gave his opinion.
Yeah, I was never really like a huge fan. I heard a couple songs. I downloaded one of your albums, but damn it, man! Once you get that little, once some trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers, boy, I'm trying to tell you, the public perception went to shit of you.
And that's what it is. It's like nowadays you cannot express. If you get your opinion in music, Twitter gonna chop you up. You give your opinion on TV, whoever you work for, that network gonna chop you up, and they gonna break you down. So it's almost like opinions are not welcomed unless they are in line, with who you working with.
Right.
Period. So again, I thought this topic, it goes way farther than what we talking right now. We just really hitting real quick on race and race, from race to gender issues to music, but it goes way farther than that, man. When it comes to giving your opinion, you can't give your true opinion in no situation without being labeled as a hater or losing money.
Yeah, I mean, for most part, I mean, people hold their true opinions. I mean, in my opinion, people hold their true. I mean, if you work in a regular 9 to 5, you know what I'm saying, you're not in some industry that you independent or whatever the case is. You work in a regular 9 to 5. From 8 hours a day, you holding your opinion. You know what I'm saying? You working on you got your lunch hour, so that minus the 9 hours. So lunch hour, you can do whatever you want to do. But, from 8 hours a day, you holding your own opinion. Shut that mouth. Now social media has came into place. It's like, that has increased your working time. If you frequent with some of your colleagues at work, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah, now you got to hold your opinion a little bit more extensively. Yeah,
because you can't get on social media expressing your opinion.
No.
That employer's watching.
Streets is watching.
The streets is watching, man. I'm telling y'all, man. When my man Fees brought this idea up, or just this notion up about opinions, I didn't think about how big this was, bro, until you said it. And I thought about it like, man, you really can't have an opinion in this society. And it's just so funny how back in the day, guys who had an opinion got hung, got shot, got assassinated. You know what I'm saying? Guys who took stands, who took a stance on their opinion on how society should be, especially for African Americans, they got murked. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, consequences.
It was consequences for having your opinion on something. And those are the opinions of Ken Fees.
And Rated R.
Right here on Rated R Radio.